Here we are now today at part 2 of the ultimate showdown between the 1680 V2, which is a Xeon made in 2013, against the 9900K and also the Ryzen 7 2700X, two of the best CPUs from 2018, both 8-core, 16 threads, both overclockable. And also I'm just gonna repeat myself again before we move into these videos. This series is not about value for money. In fact, the 1680 V2 has now ballooned out in price because I guess there's some pent-up demand for it. I originally picked up both my Xeon chips for $339 and $399 respectively. These CPUs are now well over $700 because I guess people just want to relive 2013. But also for the guys out there saying the Ryzen 8 core is only $400, $300, yes, you're beating a dead horse. I agree, Ryzen's phenomenal value. Go watch my reviews on it. Go watch the recent video I published where I think Intel's in trouble this Christmas because they don't have an answer to the Ryzen 5 2600. And in fact, my favorite CPU of this year is probably the Ryzen 5 2600. I think it's phenomenal value for money. Comes with a cooler, 6 cores, 12 threads. But anyway, with all that argument aside, we're gonna move on now with the old Xeon from 2013 because I think these arguments are coming up now because apparently stuff that is this old should be in the dumpster. But ironically enough, it's beating out stuff that's coming out in 2018. So I think that's where these irrelevant arguments are coming from that I'm not even raising and I'm actually an advocate of. This video is just taking a look at a CPU that is now overpriced on the secondhand market and seeing how good it is in 2018. Nothing more, nothing less. And with that aside, we've got the input latency tests here today at 1000 FPS. This is what I'm using with my Sony camera that allows me to shoot at these levels. And the beauty of this at 1000 FPS is that one frame equals 1 millisecond. So we can get some very accurate results for testing input latency between these three chips when they're all overclocked to their best water and air levels. So let's get on with it. Give me this. Welcome back to Tech Yes City, and right here on the desk we have our little hacked up contraption, and when we press this little button, it's hooked up to an LED light, which then lights up to know that our mouse click has actuated at that exact point in time. And so with our 1000 FPS camera, we're now able to see how much input delay there is through the whole system. So for the specs with all these tests, we're using the ASRock Taichi Ultimate boards across the X470 and Z390 lines, and then for the Xeon, we're using the Rampage 4 Extreme. And for the memory, we're using 3600 MHz CL18 on both the Intel and AMD solutions from 2018. And then on the Xeon, we're using some Mia Corsair 1600 MHz stuff, and it's CL8 timings. So now for the first test, we have Csgo. This is actually a brilliant game for testing total input latency. And after this video, I discovered exactly why. We have such a high FPS draw, coupled with the fact that our CPU is actively at its maximum speeds. So there is no delay through and through this whole process. And here we saw that the 9900K scored the best time that I've seen yet, 7 milliseconds in total input lag, which is very impressive. It does speak lengths towards the mouse that we're using, the Logitech G3, which ironically is very old, it's older than the Xeons, and it also speaks lengths for the XG35 from Asus. Not to mention the total input system latency itself is extremely low. The worst frame we saw here was 17 milliseconds, and then the average here was 11.27 milliseconds. Moving over to AMD's side on the Ryzen 2700X, we had the best frame coming in at 11 milliseconds and the worst coming in at 27 milliseconds. This scored with an average of 18.27 milliseconds across all runs. And then coming in with the 1680 V2, we got the best response at 8 milliseconds versus the worst at 15 milliseconds. This enabled it to score an average across all runs of 11.9 milliseconds. So somewhere closer to the 9900K here. And I guess this specific example with Csgo is the best case scenario for all different CPUs, at least across the 4 different tests we did here today. So we can see here that both the ring bus CPUs are just that little bit better than the Zen architecture when it comes to the total system input delay. However, on top of that, it is important to note that they are both scoring higher FPS in this benchmark in particular when we look at the previous video's results in CSGO. But still, it was interesting to see that the Ring Bus 1680 V2 was coming very close to the 9900K in the specific benchmark. Though to throw a curveball into the equation, we are now on the Windows desktop where we are just simply testing the reaction times on an idling CPU. I guess you could call it that. And here on the 9900K, we scored the worst time coming in with 89 milliseconds, the best time 38 milliseconds, to average out at 60.72 milliseconds. On the AMD Ryzen 2700X, it scored the best at 41 milliseconds and the worst at 64 milliseconds, scoring an average of 53.1 milliseconds. Moving over now to the 1680 V2, this got a best case scenario of 35 and a worst case scenario of 59, scoring an average of 46.5. So when I looked at this second example, the first thing that came to my mind was the Tales of Roach, where he used to talk about the turbo frequencies, disabling them completely for the best possible input lag. And we can see, contrasting these average numbers to the CSGO numbers, there is quite a sizable difference. And since we are idling in the desktop, the processors will naturally go into a halt state, and so this actually contributes to the input delays quite severely. And so it was quite interesting to see the Xeon come out ahead here, where it has the highest idle power consumption, but it does get the best input delay in terms of millisecond times, leading the results here against both the Ryzen and the 9900K. And now moving over to Adobe Premiere Pro, which is honestly where I spend a lot of my time on a computer nowadays. And we got two different tests here. The first is just a file flick reaction test, kind of similar to the Windows test. And we scored here with the 9900K a best case scenario of 32 milliseconds, worst case scenario of 39 milliseconds, and that scored an average of 37 milliseconds. Moving on now to the Ryzen 7 2700X, we scored a best case scenario of 29, worst case scenario of 38 milliseconds, and then that averaged out to 33.7. So it again beat the 9900K. And then moving over to the 1680 V2, that scored a best case scenario of 28 milliseconds, worst case scenario of 37, scoring an average of 33.3 milliseconds. So coming very close to that of the Ryzen 7 2700X. So after analyzing these results, I then looked at what was going on with the process, at least in an idle Premiere Pro. And we can see, at least with the 1680 V2, the processor speed is all over the place. So if it's one thing I do remember, it's going back to some of these guides that I heard way back in the past where people were warning about the disadvantages of the halt states themselves. And I guess looking at this and at least comparing these numbers again to the CSGO numbers, we can see that those halt states do add input delay, at least when it comes to Premiere Pro and Windows files. But the last test we're going to pull up here is a Premiere Pro cut test, because when you're flicking through certain footage, for instance, if I'm flicking through voice work, I'll be cutting out blunders and mishaps. And so this test is, I guess, a next level test to see how it interacts with the file through Premiere Pro itself. And the 9900K here scored 41 milliseconds lowest time, and the worst time it scored 53 milliseconds with an average of 47.3 milliseconds. Moving over now to the Ryzen 7 2700X, scored a worst time of 70 milliseconds and a best time of 50 milliseconds with an average of 61.5. Moving over now to the Xeon 1680 V2, that scored a best case scenario of 31 milliseconds with a worst case scenario of 73 milliseconds, averaging out to 56 milliseconds. So it was crazy to see that the Xeon got both the best score and the worst score with an average that fit in between the 9900K and the 2700X. And so really putting all these results into context, I'm definitely going to be looking after this video into fine-tuning my rig, in that if you guys remember back in the day, there used to be these complaints about, for instance, a ASRock Z77 motherboard always keeping the CPU, for instance, with a 3770K at 4.4 gigahertz, and it wouldn't downclock it. But this may have not been a bad thing in hindsight. It may have been a really good thing, in that you still got the power advantages of halt states, but your CPU was constantly at its maximum active frequency, ready to be more responsive, as opposed to downclocking and essentially wasting your time. So in conclusion with today's video, I guess going into this, we've answered a few questions, and that is, the higher the FPS draw, the better. Also, if your CPU is active at its maximum frequency, then it's going to be more responsive. But also when it comes to the software itself, for instance, in an engine like Adobe Premiere Pro, what is the max FPS draw in that? in that if we increase the FPS draw in these programs like Premiere Pro, will that then give us better response times? And I do think it indubitably will. But now the question going into this video now coming out is how much of a difference will it make? And also if we set our processor to be active at its highest frequency that we've overclocked it to all the time, how much will we then gain out of that? In terms of Ryzen 7 2700X versus the 9900K though, versus the 1680 V2, there's not a huge difference. There's nothing to write home about. Overall, the 1680 V2 did score a little bit better, but it's not a reason to go purchase this CPU over the 9900K or the 2700X, unless you are the pro of pro gamers playing at the top level, and even a few milliseconds could cost you a lot of money. In that case, you'd probably want to get the 9900K and clock it to 5 gigahertz. Even got a little bit of a cushioning. This is such a good hat. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button. Let us know in the comments section below what you think of today's comparison. Also, with the price performance argument, again, I'm going to reiterate it for the nth time. This is not about price performance. Of course, products are going to be better price performance as they go forward. If they weren't, then no one would buy them, logically. Anyway, coming out of this video, I'm a little bit bedazzled. I guess that's the right word. And we're going to move on to part 3 soon with the productivity numbers. I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.